Before history was written, before kings became legends, there was only wind, stone, and the sound of human hands preparing to change the world. I opened my eyes beneath the Egyptian sun, unaware that this single morning would change the course of my entire life forever. Before me stood a mountain unlike any nature had ever made. It was not born from the earth. It was being built. Thousands of strangers moved as one. Every hand carried purpose. Every step echoed across the desert like the heartbeat of Egypt. The rope bit into my hands. It felt rough, heavy, and somehow it already felt like my destiny. The foreman called my name. There was no turning back now. I had become another pair of hands in history. With every step toward the pyramid, my old life faded behind me, swallowed by dust and endless stone. Not long ago, my world was quiet. The Nile fed our fields, and each sunrise promised another peaceful day. I was never meant to build monuments. I was simply a farmer, working beside my father beneath the generous Nile. At home, everything felt ordinary. Warm bread, my family's laughter. Little did I know those moments were already becoming memories. The flood came as it always did, beautiful and unstoppable, covering the fields that had fed us for generations. When the land disappeared beneath the water, the village grew quiet. We all knew what would come next. Then Pharaoh's officials arrived, dressed in spotless linen, carrying the authority of a king most of us would never meet. We stood together beneath the morning sun, waiting for our names to be called. No one spoke. Fear needed no words. Then I heard it. Khai. My name drifted through the crowd, and in that moment, the life I had always known began to disappear. My father placed his hands upon my shoulders. He said only a few words, but his eyes carried the weight of everything left unspoken. Before dawn, my mother packed fresh bread and dried fish. Then she tied a simple cord around my wrist, hoping it would protect me on the road ahead. I walked away without looking back, until I couldn't resist one final glance. My home grew smaller with every step toward an uncertain future. For days, we followed the Nile north, surrounded by boats, supplies, and stones so enormous they seemed impossible to move.
I will, Mother.
Then I saw it. Giza, rising from the desert like a mountain built by human hands. I had never imagined anything so vast, or so impossible. I expected chains and suffering. Instead, I found a city built for the people who were building the pyramid. Before a single stone could rise, thousands of hungry mouths had to be fed. Every loaf of bread became part of the monument. Beer was more than a drink. It was clean, nourishing, and essential for the long days beneath the Egyptian sun. We arrived as strangers from different villages, but every meal we shared slowly turned us into one family with a single purpose. Broken bones, cut hands, aching backs. Even here, skilled healers worked tirelessly, reminding us that every worker had value. Every copper chisel was sharpened with care. Every wooden mallet was repaired.
Drink your beer.
Even the smallest tool carried the weight of our future. The master stonecutter studied each block in silence. He did not simply see stone. He saw where it would stand for thousands of years. Deep inside the quarry, the mountain slowly surrendered its heart. Every careful strike brought another piece of eternity into the light. A deep crack echoed through the quarry. After countless patient blows, another limestone giant finally broke free from the living rock. I placed my hand upon the cool white stone. In that quiet moment, I understood something I had never felt before. This stone would outlive us all. We eased the giant limestone block onto its wooden sled. Every movement demanded patience, because a single mistake could cost many lives. Hundreds of us stepped into position, each gripping the same rope. Alone, we were ordinary men. Together, we became one unstoppable force. The foreman slowly raised his hand. The desert fell silent. Even the wind seemed to pause, waiting for the command. Pull! The rope tightened. Muscles burned. Feet dug deep into the sand. But the stone refused to move, as if the earth itself would never let it go. Workers hurried ahead, pouring water across the sand before the sled. The ground grew darker beneath our feet, and suddenly, the impossible felt just a little closer. Then it happened. The great stone began to move. Inch by inch, the mountain surrendered to patience, strength, and hundreds of determined hands. Sweat filled our eyes. Dust covered our skin. No one let go. Every heartbeat, every breath, every step carried the same dream forward. My arms shook with exhaustion. My hands burned with pain. Yet the voices beside me reminded me that I was never carrying this burden alone. From high above, we must have looked no larger than ants crossing the desert. Yet together, we were moving mountains. At last, the sled reached the platform. We had conquered only a few hundred steps. But I finally understood. Eternity is built one stone at a time. We rested only for a moment. Tomorrow would demand the same strength, the same courage, and the same unwavering determination. I lifted my eyes toward the summit. It still seemed impossibly far away. Yet with every stone we placed, the sky came a little closer. The master builders measured every line with extraordinary care. Here, perfection was never an ambition. It was simply the standard a gentle tap, a careful adjustment, another quiet inspection. Even the smallest mistake could survive for thousands of years. As the sun slipped beyond the western desert, the pyramid glowed like a mountain of gold. For a moment, every hardship felt worthwhile. When the day's work was over, we gathered around the fire. We shared bread, beer, laughter, and stories that carried us through another long day. The oldest mason spoke softly as the flames danced before us. One day, he said, our names will fade, but these stones will remember. That night, beneath a sky filled with endless stars, the unfinished pyramid stood in perfect silence, waiting patiently for our return.
Time to rise, brothers.
Before the first light touched the
Sun is
desert,
coming.
the camp awakened once more.
Let's go. The
Another
day
sunrise meant another chance to shape history with our own hands. I wrapped my fingers around the rope again.
Let's make
The
this
pyramid
climb.
stood higher than yesterday, and tomorrow we would climb even farther. Day after day, our work became a rhythm. The pyramid was no longer a distant dream.
Set
It had
and
become the
go.
heartbeat of our
Keep
lives.
the pace steady.
Everywhere I looked,
Lift
someone had a
and
purpose.
haul.
Quarrymen, bakers, carpenters, healers,
Measure
surveyors,
twice, cut once.
thousands of ordinary people working toward one extraordinary vision. The surveyors measured the earth with incredible patience, aligning every stone with remarkable precision. Nothing was left to chance. Another block settled into place. Another layer reached toward the heavens. Great monuments are never
Giza,
built in a single
a
moment,
monumental effort
but through countless
requiring the
perfect
daily toil of
choices,
thousands,
from the river
all
to the
moving
quarry,
as one under the
from the
relentless
workshops to the
sun.
ramps, all of Egypt seemed to move together as one living body. One afternoon, I caught a glimpse of Pharaoh Khufu watching from a distant platform. For him, this pyramid promised eternal life. For us, it was the work that would define our own. At the edge of the Nile, I
The Great
washed the white
Pyramid,
dust from
a
my
testament
hands.
to the might of
The
the
dust
pharaohs,
disappeared,
rising block
but the scars
by
remained.
agonizing block
They had
through
become
the
part of who I
relentless
was.
passage of time.
The seasons came and went. The pyramid climbed higher with every sunrise, while we quietly gave our youth to the stones. As the sun set across the plateau, we stood together in silence, looking at what our hands had created. For the first time, I believed the impossible could truly be built. Tomorrow, we would climb even higher. We had learned to move the mountain, but the greatest challenge was still waiting above us.
Gone.
I stood before the mountain we had built. Stone by stone, day by day, it had risen beneath our hands. And somehow, so had we. History would remember the pharaoh. It would remember the Great Pyramid. But I hoped it would also remember the ordinary people whose hands made both possible.
Monument and the lives
I
of
looked
those
down
who
at my
built it,
hands,
all
scarred by
beneath the
rope,
silent,
hardened by
watchful
stone.
stars of Egypt.
They were no longer the hands of a farmer. They had become the hands of a builder. As night embraced the desert, the pyramid stood beneath an ocean of stars, silent, timeless, waiting for another sunrise and another day of human determination. We had learned to move the stones, but lifting them toward the heavens would demand even greater courage. Our greatest challenge was still ahead. This was only the beginning. My name is Khai, and this is our story.